Look, I know we're all happy that LEGO Castle is getting a steady stream of releases for the first time in a while in the past few years, but I can't help but notice that the sets don't really go together. For example, you've got the Blacksmith Shop, which was the first set in this revival, and its scale with the Lion Knight Castle is wonky. It's obviously too big. The Forestman's Hideout is a remake, and it shows. It kind of goes with the Lion Knight's Castle, but it's clearly older and obviously less detailed, and that design doesn't completely translate to the modern day. The Creator Castle is from a different theme entirely, just doesn't jive with the kind of 18 plus sets that LEGO's been rolling out. Now, with the release of the Medieval Town Square, we finally have two sets, the Town Square and the Castle, that at least complement one another since the line was brought back from the dead in 2021. And because of that, I want to return to a point that I brought up in my last video, which was about the Town Square. And that's, would the Town Square have been better as a modular building? Whether each individual building was on its own in the larger set and they could connect together, or they were divided up into smaller sets and there were more of them, and you could pick and choose and build your own village street. Would that have been a better use of resources by LEGO? In order to do a deeper dive into this topic, I'm bringing in a longtime collaborator who happens to be an expert in both LEGO Castle and designing a cohesive theme of sets, and that's my good friend Jason from the Brick Stop. Jason runs a successful Instagram page where he posts castle theme mocks, and he's gotten to the point where he's selling instructions for his sets. If that's something you might be interested in, go ahead and click the link in my bio after this video to go check out his page. Jason, take it away.
Thanks for having me on, BB202. I appreciate it. Before we get into kind of what we want from LEGO in the LEGO Castle world, to get a grasp on what's going on right now would be good, and to look at what the landscape is. And so I would say right now, it's still not great. We have LEGO Castle, sort of, in the sense that we've got the Lion Knight's Castle, and we have the recent Town Square set, the Medieval Town Square set, which are great. But the other two castle sets were gift with purchases, locked behind paywalls, and now are only available in the aftermarket. And the castle before that was a Creator Castle, which came with a pirate and a skeleton and only 2 Falcon Knights. So those aren't, still not in a great spot as far as castle goes in the LEGO world. Now, you had brought up this concept of maybe some modular approach, a modular approach to the castle situation, and I think that's a good approach. I think that is a way they did it originally, with the little blacksmith shop and the little armor shop that you could clip into the Crusader Castle, or the little the Siege set. I can't remember quite the name of that one, but that one went into the Black Knight's Castle. Right, so you have those opening castles that were modular in a certain way, and all of the complementary sets that went around those were also built to scale and very modular. Currently, or recently in LEGO, the Blacksmith Shop is completely off scale from even the Lion Knight's Castle, and then you look at the remakes, right? The Forestman's Hideout and Magisto's Workshop, and those are back to scale of like the classic kind of scale of LEGO sets. So even the LEGO Castle sets that are available to LEGO Castle fans right now don't even mix well with each other. They don't look quite right. Even putting the Blacksmith Shop in the current Town Square set, it's going to tower over those buildings. I mean, it just doesn't, the scale's not there. So we don't even have a cohesive castle situation going on right now. I think it's getting there. I think we're getting some of these factions back. It's great to see that happen. But we're still in this weird kind of rocky place with LEGO Castle.
So when we think of modulars, we think of modular buildings first and foremost, and how could we not? It's even the name of the theme. They're big, uniform buildings that you can connect to create a full city block, and they've been basically the same layout ever since they started at this point 17 years ago. But all it takes to be a modular, quote unquote, is to be connected by a pin and to form a cohesive scene, something that looks good connected together. Doesn't necessarily have to be a huge set, just something that can connect to something else. It could even just be a bridge. And this is something that's appeared in Monkey Kid, Ninjago, and a few more recent themes. You look at Monkey Kid, they've done this a few times, including the City of Lanterns set, where there were modulars, several modulars, all within the same overall structure. This was kind of a new thing for LEGO. They had a base structure, the supports of the city, and then you had smaller shops that you could arrange as you wanted all around and just connect them onto the studs. So that was a bit of a different way of doing it than LEGO's used to, but it shows that they've made strides, especially in the past few years when it comes to being able to connect sets together. Castle has actually done this before too, obviously, back in the 80s, but Kingdoms brought that back with the King's Castle set in 2010. That was really limited just to the one set. There's a little bit of a modular aspect in the Kingdoms Joust set. You can sort of connect them, but they don't really look that great together. Trust me, I've tried. The wall bits that extend out on either side don't really connect with the castle walls of the 2010 castle that well. But the 2013 line actually has a much better take on this, because the Gatehouse set is completely flush with the 2013 castle, and you can make that castle larger, and it actually looks pretty good. Definitely better than just the castle by itself. So people don't like the 2013 line. I'm not a big fan of it either, but it did introduce a way to actually expand your castle and make it look good for the first time in decades. Jason, I'm curious if you think something like this would work today, even though it's been done before. I mean, after all, the 2013 castle theme basically killed the entire line for a decade.
Going back to the modular concept, I think that's a great idea. I think getting a handful of sets ranging from, $15 to $200, is a great idea. And that's just a basic Lego theme, right? Where you'd get a bunch of different smaller sets that you could then combine into a whole world. And that's what I've always looked for in Lego, and especially in Lego Castle and other themes like that. And I think the best example of a very successful modular system would be the Lego Harry Potter line. Now we can see how that works super well with their castle rooms and the classrooms and dungeons and things that they do there. You buy them separately as $40 sets, as $20 sets, and then you can combine them all to make this quite incredible Lego Hogwarts castle, And I think seeing that in Lego would be really cool for castle fans and castle sets like that.
Now, Jason, you've made several castle-themed, highly detailed sets, including modulars that you've posted on Instagram. And you've expanded your concepts a bit recently to include some other themes, but the castle mocks have always been some of my favorites of yours, if you want to expand on that.
I had a design of a medieval town street where you could build these different smaller buildings, kind of like the current medieval town square, except for that these would clip together to make a street scene, and you could put chunks of wall or little stables or things between those buildings, and they'd be smaller, $35, $40 sets. Maybe you have a $50 one in there that's a corner building, kind of like a modular, the city buildings they do now, or that used to be a part of the Creator Expert theme. A similar concept where you could clip these things together, or make all of those buildings clip into the sides of a larger castle system, right? So you get the courtyard buildings built up with walls along the backs of them that could then be incorporated into the castle walls of a large castle for whatever faction, that would be. So I really like that idea. I think that would be a cool way to see Lego Castle come back. But I mean, at the end of the day, it would be nice to see Lego actually build a Lego Castle theme again.
Yeah, and the last point I want to make here is that if Castle fans can afford these massive sets that are on the shelves right now, evidently they can because they keep selling out, right? They can certainly afford modulars. Even a big modular, look at the current modular line, right? They vary, but they're around the $200 range. They're expensive, but even the current castle sets are more expensive than those. So if Lego were to make castle modulars, adding on to the medieval village, I think they'd sell very well. And Lego seems to be risk averse right now. They don't want to put out a line for kids of castle sets because they must not be testing well, but they don't even have to be childish sets because they'd be modulars. So if Lego's worried that the kids won't buy them, they don't have to make sets for the kids to make modulars. All of the modulars out right now are 18 plus. They could continue that trend, and you'd be able to connect them together. I mean, there's a lot of appeal there.
Yeah, I'm hoping that as we get more of these, it's very obvious the amount of Castle fans, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. We really are. We're selling these things out as soon as they're, listed, the Lion Knights castle is back ordered, back stock. It was the top selling set from like last year. Well, it was in the top 5 at least. You know, so we're showing Lego in every way we can, with our wallets, with our videos, with everything we're doing, that we do want castle. And so hopefully eventually, you know, as they're bringing, you know, these themes out, Wolfpack's showing up in the little town square set. We got Black Falcons. We had one kind of Dragon Masters sort of remake going on with the Magisto Workshop. And, you know, obviously Forestman popped back in as well as the Crusaders. So we have these old factions being revived, which is phenomenal. It's just curious to see what they're going to do with that. Are they going to, you know, start making these remakes more available as shelf sets, you know, that we can purchase? Oh, we can purchase the Armor Shop. We can purchase a remake of the Guarded Inn, right? Are we going to see that happen? It's hard to say. Or are we going to see now, because currently the only Lego castle stuff we have, they're all based on old themes, which is a bit of a problem, because it seems like they're going to want to keep it in the Icon series in these large $200 to $300 sets, because you can't really, I mean, I guess you could give these factions new sets now, but they're pushing more and leaning towards the direction of these remakes. And I don't know that they're going to be wanting to do a bunch of remakes of these old sets to create sets available on the shelves for these. But those are kind of my thoughts on what's going on, and then, you know, some thoughts on modular systems and things like that. Obviously those are really, I really love that idea. But yeah, thanks again, BB202, for having me on here and sharing a couple of my random rambling thoughts. I hope we see a lot of castle stuff coming out as it becomes more and more popular with people. Yeah.
I want to thank Jason for coming on and sharing his thoughts as always. Go ahead and follow him on Instagram, subscribe to his YouTube, and go show him some support. And go down in the comments as well, and I want to know, do you think that Lego Castle Modulars are a good idea? Are they something you would buy? And what are your ideas for modulars? If you have a really interesting idea, you could be featured on an upcoming video, so make sure you put some thought into them. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and stay tuned for some future videos. Thanks.